Okay, good morning, good evening, or good night. I didn't mean to say morning, sorry. G'day all. Welcome to the Forbidden History Chronicles. You're here with Ninja Cat and Ninja Cat 111. Always forget the 111. And Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series. Thank you for joining. We have a bit of a special program today. I'll just say hello to everybody. To Lynn, hi Lynn, and Duck, and Rose, and everybody else that's watching. I just saw the numbers go up. Hi guys, thank you for joining. Love you all. I haven't been around much. I went a bit quiet lately, and I just want you all to know that I'm thinking of you all the time, creating light for everyone, and I'm still here. So anyway, I'd like to welcome Dezert-Owl. How's it going, Desert?
Hi, Ninja. Well, doing okay. And it was my suggestion for the benefit of our friends out there, my suggestion today that we deviate from the normal programming. I appreciate your bringing on the Forbidden History Chronicles every week and helping me to present a lot of the insight and information that nobody else is presenting within our ancient history and our spiritual tradition. And you've been a wonderful supporter and friend of the mission since about June of last year. So we've known each other almost a year now, and I've also come to know your situation. and yeah, the time ticks by rather fast, and so I knowing your situation right now, which is extreme and dire, and we have other friends also that are going through extreme and dire situations, like Lynn herself and her family, and others that are out there. They're losing their homes. Their family loved ones are being incarcerated. Then we can look at all the tragedies happening around the world and the natural disasters. There's never been more suffering than at this time right now. But certainly when we have friends who are unjustly, unduly suffering, then we need to draw attention to that. That is, would be like a maxim of Yeshua, that we do not. We are supposed to visit those in prison, those who are sick, those who are injured or alone or what have you, and be there for them. And so I'm here for you today because you are going through a situation that is extreme and detrimental to your health, both mentally and physically. Because when people are put under stress, then there begins mental breakdown, and a mental breakdown is not like it means you just don't function normally. That's what a mental breakdown is. You start working on reserves, and pretty soon things get left undone, and then people have emotional breakdowns on top of it, and it spirals. I've still got post-traumatic stress disorder from being tortured 20 years ago by the political state. I'll never be the same, and so I know exactly what this is all about. And so I wanted to bring your story to the attention of our friends today, so that perhaps we could rally and support you as you've been supporting the Forbidden History Chronicles. And you never had to do that, but you had your own spiritual conversion from no hope to having a great hope in Yeshua for eternal life and for living on a higher plateau, not in the mud like most people are in the deep, darkness of this world, and retaliation and revenge, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, whatever the maxim you want to use, eat or get eaten. It's a very sad world we have, and the fact is that there needs to be no starvation, no war, no suffering. None of this stuff is necessary.
It's unnecessary.
And yet it is real because it is engineered by the people who run our world. I could not imagine what it would be like to be a billionaire, and yet one billionaire alone could probably put the fix in financially for the rest of the world. Maybe not literally, but all of them combined, they could, because it's about labor. There is no money, and the money backs our labor is what backs our funny money. That the illusion that we have currency is nothing other than the labor that we put into industry and commerce. The birth certificate creates digits on a ledger. They put in about $1.5 million for every birth certificate that's produced of a new baby born. That's the value of the labor. And then we have presto magico, we've got currency. $1 million goes into circulation, $1.5 million. And so that's what monetizes our dollar, I guess globally. I know that's certainly the system in America, and it appears to be the same, in most of the English-speaking Christian nations today, and probably all the others are running the same Ponzi scheme. So it's all backed by labor. So and so then we have all these bureaucrats now that, since there's no money, they can also produce all the bureaucrats they want to run our lives, tell us where to go, what to do, when to stand up, when to sit down, and at the same time their engineering is all designed to kill us, And so, and this goes then to the story of your mom and your situation. But before I get there,
Yeah.
I wanted to give a little just a mini presentation this morning of the normal reading that I do, not to leave off Yeshua and helping people to see things from a philosophical and spiritual
Thank you.
level.
Thank you, because that's what I love about the Chronicles. So thank you. Please do.
So before I jump in, did you want to add anything to that? I know I got on a roll there.
Oh no, that's fine. I like it when you get on a roll.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm kind of looking forward to being interviewed, because where to start, and just you can help direct the story and summarize it a bit better, I think. So
certainly, yeah. Okay, well then, let me put my phone down over here. Well, no, I think I can maybe hold it. I'm still not back in my normal setting yet, and do my broadcast. So this is the only chance we get to share the good news and all the bad news. We do have good news, and the good news is that there's the one who made all things wants to connect with every one of us, and he can, and he does through his word. And if we want to know what he thinks and what he's about, then we just have to go grab the good book. Even though it's not a good translation, it's still his word nonetheless, and he opens it up for us. So Passion. This is on the Passion of Yeshua. I just read this morning. This is my morning read, and I thought it was appropriate on Ninja. Then I have two follow-ups because it leads to other definitions in here. So I have two others I'll follow with. So the Passion of Yeshua, also known as Jesus, a symbol of the agony of the yet imperfect soul as it approaches perfection. My soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. Abide ye here, and watch with me. And he went forward a little, and fell on his face, and created light, breathing. My true, perfect, and complete great Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass away from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will. Matthew 26:38-39. As the spirit is raised in the aspiring soul, so in proportion the personality, Yeshua, becomes depressed, and the suffering makes it appear that it cannot do the things that it would. It is filled with a sense of powerlessness, of futility, of sore trial. The Christ soul could not do then, in his present condition, that which he foresaw would be done by the higher self, which strengthened him. Yet he progressed, and losing sight of the lower, he yearned after union with the higher. In the soul, there was the alternation between the human, the earthly, and the spiritual in the struggle for perfection. As the personality or the character grew weaker, the individuality increased in strength, and the mental depression and suffering became temporarily the greater in the lower consciousness. With all sound theologians, are they all sound? That's a good question. With all sound theologians, we're just talking about them, and with all the doctors, I deny the possibility of the divine nature suffering. The Elohimic head cannot be tempted, and how should the Elohimic head then suffer? The earthly nature of the Mashiach, or Christ, alone suffered the earthly nature, and that is not infinite but finite. That's a Irving collection of writings. Even Yeshua was not perfect while he was on earth walking, even though we all regard him as such, but he did not regard himself as such. As the Gospels themselves witness, for the one who would create light, not my will, but yours be done, was plainly not yet in final union with the great Elohim. That's why he says after the third day, I will be perfected. That was his final statement on that matter. And so it needs must be, for when the perfect union is accomplished, there remains no passion, no cross, no burial to be endured. All rebirths are ended, and the Asha spirit, the spirit, is forever freed from matter. There could not, therefore, by the very nature of things, be any perfect man upon the earth plane, at least in that lower plane, because so soon as perfection is attained, the plane of suffering is necessarily incapable of retaining the purified spirit. I'm not sure, if this is the correct expression of that, but anyway, I think you get the meaning here. This is from the perfect way.
Yeah.
Let me try it. Because so soon as perfection is attained, the plane is necessarily incapable of retaining the purified. Oh, okay, it's on at the lower plane, because there's a transformation that occurs, and it comes to suffering. Through suffering comes awakening, and in the awakening, then there's a finite separation, because we know that there's something definitely different and wrong with the world. It's not the world we thought it was, and then we wake up to the higher truth. So the trail goes to this other definition, Gethsemane. That was the Garden of Gethsemane, a symbol of an interior and subjective mental state in which the soul truly lives in its evolving experiences. Then comes Yeshua with them into a place called Gethsemane, and breathes unto his truth seekers, you all sit here while I go over there and create light. And he took with him Kefe and the two Zams of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful. Matthew 26, 30, and 37. Gethsemane stands for the garden of the soul, the place of purity and fruition, wherein all inner experiences are lived, as contrasted with expressed merely. Okay. The Christ soul directs that the lower manifestations of the qualities, the truth seekers, disciples, shall here have the ability to have to abide quietly, and to suffer in silence, in order to await the call of the highest. But the higher self with whom Yeshua is identified always goes beyond the ken of the actual, and so raises the quality. The lower mind, Kefe, reason, James or Yaakov, seed of light. Reason is the seed of light. And love, Yoganun, the garden at high noon, have to be raised. The suffering is the effect of the depression of the personality, or perhaps we could say the ego. And then one more. It is the Mount of Olives. Mount of Olives means the mountain of truth. That was actually property owned by the royal family, and that's why he went there. A symbol of the soul's aspiration in love of the truth and the perfect. And when they had sung the hymn, they went out to the mountain of truth, the Mount of Olives, Matthew 26:30. The singing of the hymn symbolizes the aspiration through harmony of the qualities and uplifting of the nature in prayer, the creation of light and song. And the repairing to the Mountain of Olives serves to indicate the ascent of the Mo'eshiach, the Christ soul, ere it is enabled to make its final triumph over the lower limitations. And certainly within Yeshua, we are unlimited and not limited, and that is a part of the great mystery and very profound. And one thing I learned through my persecution, political persecution I went through 20 years ago, was for the first time I saw the meaning of the symbolism in the crown of thorns, and that the crown of thorns is a picture of the crown of thorns is a plant that grows in the east, and the thorn bush that was used, and it is has a fruit that grows on it every season, and it's a red fruit, and and you can actually eat it, and it's sweet, a red piece of fruit, and what this the crown of thorns on Yeshua's head symbolized, because I was going through it, I could see it for the first time, that it symbolized the mental anguish that we periodically will go through, that it seems so unbearable, that it seems it would be easier to take our life and to just end it, because pain is so great. And so we're just like crawling on the ground with our fingernails into the dirt, just trying to drag ourselves along while we're trying to deal with the pain that nobody can appreciate, and there's nobody there helping us. And Yeshua, at times it seems, will let us suffer these things because it is it creates the transition in the great mystery, just like the victims of mind control who they ritually sexually abuse at an early age in torture. They know that two things happen with that. Well, the main thing that happens, other than the compartmentalization of their fragmentation of their mind, is the ability to therefore endure pain and forget about certain things that occur. But the other one is the heightened awareness, the intellectual development that occurs through the stimulation of extreme circumstances, and the acute awareness that is developed at the same time in these extreme situations. So they know that these victims become highly intellectual and intelligent and very capable in many ways. Just like the classic would be like with a super soldier type that can leap tall buildings, so to speak. So the crown of thorns then. Why will we suffer? Or even when Yeshua, referred to John, Yaldanum, the Alpha Baptizer, John the Baptist, and said it was necessary, at this point for his head to be cut off. His ministry was perfect. If he would have been allowed to live, then it could have marred his perfect record, of what he achieved and what he did, and so we have to see suffering, therefore, from the higher plateau of why is there suffering, and why does the Spirit allow for suffering in the world? But the irony is, you see, He gave man free will, and so in regard to that, we always see that it is man who's creating all the problems. It's man who is taking another man or woman down. It's always men. See, they were real clever in their cultic world, and they got us to look at demons and devils and fays and fairies and trolls and things that go bump in the night. And as long as we're not looking at them, then everything's all right, but the truth is, we know that people are the problem, and it's the ego and it's the flesh that drives the ego. It is the lower nature of this world, and so the crown of thorns means that if you can just hang in there and endure the pain, then what was once a crown of thorns upon your head will turn into the sweetest fruit that you ever wanted to eat. And that's the story of the sunrise in Yeshua, because He will deliver, Ninja, and because you are following Him, you now know that you are not alone, and you also are not unaware of the reality and the dilemma of this world, and that you're the egos of these others that want to affect you, whether it's the state or your other family members. It is a rather a tragic situation, and tragic, one, because your mom is absolutely one who suffers, and then
she's
you
stuck in the middle
ultimately
of all of it.
will be free from this at one point, but in the meantime you're suffering right now, and you're in a dire strait that within 30 days you may be on the street unless some friends want to come forward and help out in your situation. Did I put it pretty well?
Yes, thank you, Desert.
Okay.
I'm already overwhelmed that you would do this. Thank you.
Right. Well,
yeah.
You're not alone anymore. That's the good news. You've been a loner and a victim of what we call a targeted individual, like I still am. I still am today by the Masonic Order, where I'm at. They hate my guts, because they hate people that have knowledge, and they hate people that love the light because they're the phony light. They're the phony illuminated. And I know that your family member, your brother-in-law, is in the Navy, and I know all about that ego. What these people are all about. That's Navy intelligence here in the U.S. So it's the CIA and and the Masons, and they're all hate us with passion.
They lived in the U.S. for about 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So his passion of hatred towards you and wanting to destroy your life is a rather interesting agenda in anybody's book, I think. And like I told you, to pray for him and pray for your sister is important because it defies the laws of nature. Because naturally within our world we want to fight back, we want to hate or punch somebody in the nose, but instead we have to follow the walk of Yeshua because that's where we have victory of light. And he will then he says the battle's not yours, it is his, and you can overcome. So just hang in there with that. But let's for the benefit of our friends, I get long-winded, I know that, but let's start at the beginning and tell everyone your story. We were doing this because we want to create a record for Ninja, so that if she has to make decisions in her life about where she goes or has to leave her home, which is being robbed from her, she then has a witness here, that a record that can be relied upon legally for any legal recourse that would be used against her, because it appears that her sister and brother absolutely intend to destroy her emotionally and her character at the same time, and physically, because she would lose everything being put on the street with no ability to recover, no ability to even prepare, no ability, because why? She has to take care of her mom nonstop, 24/7, with no ability to even do the things necessary to relocate with a 30-day notice that she has to leave. So she's in a catch-22, and we encourage you to have a little compassion and listen to Ninja's story here. So Ninja, why don't you start at the beginning, and I'll try to jump in if I can want to fill in any gaps of your story. I'm here to listen.
Okay, I'll do my best. Okay, I'll start with, okay, I don't know where to start. Before I moved in here, I was pretty much at the same low point as I am now, but in a different situation. From the targeting and the gang stalking, I was in a horrible little flat, a very dangerous area, getting death threats every day and throwing every kind of sick, disgusting behaviour towards me 24/7. That made me go silent, it crushed me, and that's what I'm feeling now. I felt that I was going back into silence after finally finding a voice and being able to laugh and feel again. So that's where I was at before I moved in here. Mum's memory started to go, and I'd got to the point where, referring to what Desert was saying, how like I don't think I could ever bring myself to do it, but I got to the point where I did not want to live anymore, and Mum witnessed this, and all at the same time I was trying to hold down a job working nights, so that I could actually get some sleep through the day, because the neighbourhood was a little bit quieter through the day. But it just escalated, and I was getting no sleep at any time. But Mum witnessed this. At the same time, my sister and brother-in-law suggested that I move in with Mum. And at the time I couldn't see how that could happen because I was working and I didn't have a car, and it involved being on the other side of town, and getting to and from work would have been an issue. And it got to the point where Mum and I got trapped inside my flat. She was going to give me a lift to work after I visited her, and we couldn't leave because of the violence that was going on outside. And I was so ashamed that Mum had to go through that, had to see that, how I was living. And she said, right, that's it, you're moving in with me. You're not staying here anymore. And so I moved in with Mum. And while this was happening, my sister was sending me text messages. She'd previously offered to help me move when they first mentioned it, and then when I asked her for help, she declined. And there was another text, I've got all this on record, there was another text where she said maybe I should stay where I was, and she knew my situation, and so that made me feel just useless. So anyway, Mum was still driving, so we moved a few of my things over into the house and got the cats over so that I could stay at Mum's house and figure out everything else afterwards. Then it got to the point where Mum was no longer allowed to drive. She was declining and it wasn't safe for her to drive. I don't have a license, so I couldn't drive the car. So I moved most of the rest of my belongings, small enough, by bus over here to Mum's house, because at the time Mum could still be left alone for a few hours at a time. So I moved most of my stuff by bus, and we got a truck to move the big items, and so I was in. So the harassment from my sister and my brother-in-law started before I moved in, and it's been a pattern, repeating pattern ever since, because I had to give up work, and I was recovering from all the issues from that neighbourhood, and having to adjust to looking after Mum. I was exhausted from the start, but relieved that I was living in a quiet neighbourhood where I could get some peace. But
and I just want to jump in and say, you know, from a standpoint of what you went through as a targeted individual, from your impression, it stemmed when you tried to report to
the air traffic control 20 years ago.
Yeah, traffic control. That you were witnessing certain things in the sky, which we all corroborate. We know that we see them. All of us see them, and know that this is for real. And this is all what I call the World Federation underground phony UFO world takeover scenario that they've been operating since the time of the Aryan Brahmin priesthood back thousands of years ago. There's always been UFO. They're called Vimanas. Anybody can go read the Vimanica Shastra.
Anyone can go on my channel and watch my Vimana video too. Yeah.
Sure. It's an open secret. There is no secret. These all this stuff we see in the movies is all part of the underground mind control government run our world scenario. And so you just were observing and then reported, and because you were reporting and you're in a very a different environment in your location, that apparently is very run by the occultic, the Freemasons, and the secret societies. Then they decided to target you because you made yourself known, your presence known as being a concerned citizen, and then the next thing you're being harassed and followed, and neighbors, that are put in your situation, just like it was put in my situation in the house I moved in here. I had to move into because they put, absolute crazies under me, and above me, both above and below.
Yeah.
And
I
they
had
were,
him above and to the
so
side. Yeah.
So I know perfectly what you went through, Ninja, and I've interviewed over 50 victims of mind control and targeting. So I'm here to establish the fact that everything you say is on point, and there's no doubt in my mind that everything you say is level-headed, and that you hung in there under extreme persecution and pressure, and then when you thought finally to a little bit of relief with an ability to love your mom, take care of your mom, and be friends, and on the last ride on this planet that we were hoping, and then all of a sudden, you're going to continue your story. But I just want to know how come. What is the problem with your sister that she has it in for you, hates you so much, and I don't even care. We don't even have to talk about her jerk husband. We already figured that one out.
I don't know. She seems to be different since. I don't know why, but she seems to be different since they came back from the States.
Okay.
I don't know, or whether it was gradual with him controlling, because I think he's behind it all, and she is just turning into him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's having to follow his. Obviously, he's the one who really has the pleasure of persecuting you, right? He's laughing and giggling and joking about how he's going to do this to you, that to you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a little boy.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
like a little boy.
Exactly.
Little boy. Yeah.
And I'm the mentally deranged one, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So therefore, we can say that your sister just had to fall in line according to military protocol, or else.
Yeah.
Right?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So please continue.
Okay, where was I? Yeah, because...
But your mom, and you were hoping for a future.
Because I had to quit my job.
Wait a minute. Before you go further, I want to qualify. But you're moving in with your mom. Also, there was an agreement with your sister that it would be a good thing to be there to take care of mom.
Yes.
And that so there was an agreement in the beginning.
Yes.
That she was in favor of. Was that correct?
Yes, because it was getting so that it was unsafe for mum to live alone, even though she could still be left alone for short periods of time back then. She could not be alone the whole time. What I realized when I moved in was that she was doing things like forgetting to eat, so she would go for a whole day without eating just because she forgot to. And when she was eating, she wasn't eating good food because she was forgetting how to cook it. And it slowly progressed to where it was too dangerous for her to use the stove. We have a gas stove. We have a heater that we couldn't use it last winter. I banned her from touching the heater last winter. And I'm scared of it because because it's a gas one, and it's like fake wood with real fire. Yeah, and I while she was still allowed to light it, I walked in. I remember one time I walked in, and she was holding the gas gun because the ignition wasn't, it'd take forever using the little ignition button. So we'd open the front door, and use the gas gun on it, and it'd light straight away. And Mum was putting the gas gun in the wrong spot so that it was dangerous, and I had to stop her from using it because
Yeah,
there
well,
was a
build up
risk
gas.
of
You could have an
blowing up
explosion.
the house. Yeah. And she couldn't understand that, and it was that sort of thing that I had to learn to deal with, and
you had to pour out, but she wasn't able to fully realize her own limitations, and therefore it created also conflict within your own ability to help her, right?
Yeah, and getting around, like I used to let her go for walks with the dog on her own, and I'd stay home, and so we'd have a break from each other, and it got to the point where she was getting lost. It was only that she had the dog that she would find her way back, or she'd she lost her keys. Everyone does that, but yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
well, we get the picture that your mom has debilitated, mental capacity because of whatever, maybe a combination of too many drugs in her system.
Yeah.
Obviously, the toxic effect builds and does that type of thing. But let's go back up for a minute, because your agreement to move in with your mom was also contingent upon you having an opportunity to get state funding or a paycheck for taking care of your mom, because the state would have to take care of her anyway, and therefore you have a certain amount of time you're allowed to take care of work for her, and then your free time. Was that not right in at the beginning also of this agreement?
I moved in, and I had to stop working to look after Mum.
You quit your job.
Therefore I had no income, and I had no. I didn't know who to ask. And nobody offered help or advice. Only my sister telling me what I should be doing as a carer, which always turned out to be bad advice, or the opposite to what I should be doing regarding caring for Mum. But so I had a little bit of money in savings, but that ran out really fast, and it would take up to 3 months for the application for carer's payment to be processed, and the first time I applied, it didn't work. I read through the application that the doctor filled out, because I had to fill out some and the doctor had to fill out some, and I saw that because he didn't understand one of the questions, and I couldn't tell him what to answer. It was a yes/no answer, and he answered the wrong one, and it was that answer that made them refuse. So I had to wait 6 months. I reapplied and got it the next time round, but in the meantime I had no income, so we were living off Mum's money, and this is where they're using it against me now and accusing me of things. And
but you applied to the system on your own then to try to find a solution to be able to take care of your mom full time. That was on you then. And
there was no information. There was nobody offered any help or any extra information, and now I know that I could have applied for a different type of payment, but that different type of payment required me to go out and look for 20 jobs a fortnight while looking after Mum, and that wasn't possible. So I couldn't do that. And I also found out that I could have applied and received that payment instead of having no income. I could have applied and received that payment, and because I was looking after Mum, I could have got an exemption, and I didn't know. I didn't ask the right questions. I told them everything about my situation, and nobody offered any extra information to help me out, and the whole thing was just a struggle, and with my sister in my ear telling me what I should and shouldn't be doing, and accusing me of things, and not physically helping.
being diplomatic and working with you.
Yeah, no
I guess,
sympathy, no empathy.
In other words, if I go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was letting you continue. Just saying, no sympathy, no empathy. Like I didn't want, oh, poor you. I wanted her to put herself in my shoes, like just perspective and different level.
Right.
Yeah.
So what ultimately turned out in your work arrangement, though, to me was the most bizarre thing I've ever heard, where you basically work 24/7 to take care of your mom. And you get, 2 hours off once a week or every other week? How does this work?
I get 2. It was changed this week. I'll tell you about that in a minute because that's added to my exhaustion. But normally I get 2 hours on a Wednesday morning while Mum gets taken out to do the grocery shopping. And I get 2 hours on a Friday where Mum gets taken out somewhere nice. And I barely get out. Like 2 hours isn't long enough to get out of the house. And
So your weekend, where everybody gets a weekend off from work as a normal protocol, your weekend lasts for 4 hours, and they're split into 2 different components.
Yep. And
so you get the weekend. Basically, bottom line, you really get no time off. You work 24/7, 7 days a week.
Yep.
On a treadmill that never stops.
Yep. If I don't get up before Mum does, then I start work before I can even make myself a cup of coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
If I want to go to bed and I'm exhausted and falling asleep standing up, and Mum doesn't want to go to bed yet, I have to wait up until she wants to go to bed so I can lock up the house and make sure she knows where the bed is. Yeah.
Right. And on top of that scenario, now you have been given a 30-day notice with a lot of chuckles behind it, that you're going to work till you work nonstop for your mom for the next 30 days with no ability to go find another place to live, no way to secure any funding, and so ultimately you'll end up on the street, no place to take your cats with you, and all of your other personal belongings, and you'll just be out. You'll be 30 days. When you start looking, you'll be on the street when you start having the ability and the time to look for a place to live.
Exactly. They've taken control of everything, and they have told me they want to crush me, and they don't care what I do, where I go. Mum comes first. That is the quote of the century for them. They've been saying it since I moved in. Mum comes first. I think I know that because I've been putting her first since I moved in.
Right. But the mom come first part is that Mom owns the house, and there's equity behind it of some sort. And also, you mentioned she had money in the bank account of some sort. So therefore, all of that comes first in their mind, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I won't see a cent. Apparently, I have no right to anything. I don't even have a right to be sitting here in this room where I'm streaming from, according to them. And they can enter the house whenever they want, according to them.
And the last time he did, he maliciously did damage to your property. That piece of garbage, Navy officer, whatever he is, came in and damaged your personal effects to some degree and drove away laughing.
Yep, drove away laughing. And because I was just getting back, because I'd had it with my sister and I knew she was coming for a visit. So when she got here, I walked out the door and said, I'm taking a break. She lost it at me. She's normally composed and comes across as a civil, proper citizen. And she completely lost it at me. And I said, don't do that in front of Mum. It's not good for her. I'm taking a break. Yeah. You're watching Mum. And I got back and he was pulling out of the driveway. And as he pulled out of the driveway, he laughed and he said, I'm going to miss the show, or I just missed the show, or something like that.
You just missed the show, of his playing in your own private home. Okay, so hold that thought right there. And I just want to mention to our friends that are listening in, or anyone who comes in on the program later on, this is an interview with Ninja Cat. If you just come in live on the broadcast, and Ninja has been a wonderful supporter of the Forbidden History series. And but I've always been a victim's advocate. That was what I did with the RealPublicRadio.net and other on radio broadcasts prior to my own a radio network that's now a radio museum. And And so I want to, I think we got the bottom line here about her dire need, ladies and gentlemen, that Ninja needs to have a cushion, a backup, because she has no ability to find work, no ability to even pack. When she tries to pack, her mom is right there needing
moving
her help.
things, moving things back into the house.
If anything, we can elaborate on that just a minute.
Yeah, sorry.
Ninja, but,
please continue.
She needs to have a backup plan, and the only backup that could help for her right now would be any type of financial donation you could provide, because that means if she had enough money, then she could go out the door and get another apartment, relocate. She's got no automobile. She has to move her stuff. All of this is involved, if you can appreciate. So I told Ninja last night to open up a PayPal account, and she did. So if you want to send her a love gift, a donation of any size, then please consider it. Okay, consider what it would be like if you were in this situation. And her email for her PayPal account is gimpy222@gmail.com. That's GYMPY222@gmail.com. That's G as in George, Y as in Yankee, M as in Maple, P as in Paul, Y as in Yankee, 222@gmail.com. Gimpy222@gmail.com. And thank you for helping Ninja out. She's a lady, with no support out there, no friends. She's pretty much a loner, like I've been within my targeting situation. And but we all met on YouTube, and we were in good company with other friends in similar situations, and so we've all found ourselves on this venue, and so it's been a great opportunity for us to discover each other here, and it's a rather unique situation in that. So Ninja, back to you.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to. I can't thank you enough for doing this, Desert.
We're not going to let you fall into the street. You're not going to be in the street. Okay? You're going to get relocated somehow. Because here's the dilemma, and then you can go further on the story. But you're like, okay, you've already been given notice that you're out, and you have potentially other opportunities if you can look on the internet or look in the newspapers and to go and for her to, when she's already been given notice. She has to just really switch gears, as what I had given her advice, to switch gears. It's given that her mother's going into a nursing home. It's given that they want to sell the house. They want her to sign paperwork to let other strangers in the house to give an assessment, whatever. And that's her business, what she does with that. In that regard, I wouldn't sign anything myself or agree to anything that these people are doing. But nonetheless, I've advised her that she should consider strongly just finding the best opportunity that's out there and go for it, and then give her notice to the state that she, as of the day she is leaving, or give them as much notice as possible when the opportunity comes up, and to go and to leave, because there's nothing she can do. It's a catch-22, and I can more easily make that statement than she can, because I know she loves her mom and she wants to take care of her. But literally, Ninja, the way I've heard you talk the last several nights, you have no energy at all. Yeah. You're spent down for the count, and have no ability to do anything for yourself. And so that's that's my purview on this. So please continue and share where we're at here.
Yeah, this is the first time I've spoken to you on the phone in the last couple of days where I haven't been a complete utter mess. Yeah, so thank you for putting up with that. It was really bad. Like, my energy just disappeared. It just vanished. And having to hide that or mask that from Mum, and continue while going through the last couple of days has taken any energy reserves that I had, if I had it. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, you also have another family. You have your cats are your family, and therefore, what is it? They gonna follow you down the sidewalk when you're walking down the street? No way. So you're not only about to lose your mom, you're going to lose your cats and everything else. It's quite an emotional dilemma you're in right there.
I'm stuck. I feel like I'm in a tug of war on all levels, like on the physical level with my sister and my mum. I'm getting my head around the fact that Mum's going to be put in a home that's going to crush her, but I'm also looking forward to having freedom, having my mind back, and at the same time, Mum is speaking better lately, but her memory is gone, but she can speak, she can say the right words, and that gives me hope, and that also makes me feel defeated because of what's going on. It's just, my mind is a mess, but today I felt a little bit of energy come back, and I felt a little bit of clarity, and that tells me that I'm not the bad guy in this. I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing everything I can, even if it's not enough. Or I can't do everything I want to do right now. I'm doing everything I can, and I know that it's not going to be a struggle forever. All the struggles in this world are only temporary, and each time I go through something like this, it brings me a step closer to Yeshua, and I know that He's with me because He shows me little signs and little mini miracles, even through the most horrible moments. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just want to make sure that you're covered, and you've got a way to spring out of this. If we can bring in enough donations through this broadcast, of course, this is going to be posted, and therefore people will come in and hopefully, because we tagged it as an emergency request for Ninja, that others will listen to this broadcast. And what's amazing is people very often don't respond, and if everybody that listened would at least just send $5, that would add up, to a little bit of help to give her some assistance. But really, she's getting major assistance down there. Other people locally, like I've suggested, Ninja, that you try to find a church that can have people.
I found something, I think.
Okay, that would locally give you a ride.
Yeah.
If you needed a ride somewhere, or to sit with your mom for the day. Maybe two ladies would come in and sit with your mom to assist you, and then you could take care of business for a day. This is, what we're hoping, friends, that somehow that you can find somebody locally, a couple people locally, ladies. Women usually care about women, and so keep her in your prayers. Certainly. Did you miss any other point about the story, Ninja, that I'm overlooking, because we want to make sure we get it all out?
I don't know. I'm kind of. I can say one thing that I've noticed with all of this. We know that we're all getting targeted and going through a lot of stuff, especially now, just because we're learning the truth, or we know the truth. We're getting closer to the truth, and I see the pattern. I'm trying to think of the order that it goes in, because my brain's just turned to mush. Okay, the most recent one, it's a cycle. The most recent one, when I was talking to you about a week ago, and things had settled down. Last year, I tried to get some more help, and it's very difficult with the system here, when it comes to carers and respite and aged care and all that. It's all different sections, all different bits of paperwork, all different departments, and it's just impossible and takes so long to get much needed respite. And there's waiting lists, and anyway, I looked into a place called the Cottage, and it sounded really nice. And at the same time, I was also getting resistance from Mum. Mum had switched into negative mode. She didn't want to go anywhere. She didn't want to do anything different. She didn't want to. She just didn't want to do anything. She couldn't see that it was going to benefit both of us. She couldn't see that I needed the break, and she couldn't see how it would benefit her as well. And that made it harder. And my sister also said she thought that I was palming Mum off to the other side of town so that I could have time off. And so I gave up, because nobody was helping me.
Yeah. Well, the logical question would be, by the way, sis, how much time were you putting in towards Mom? I didn't notice that.
Yeah. I have said to her countless times, like, this is like trying to get her to look at it from a different perspective, like, and she throws it back in my face every time. She did again tonight. She had the last word with a text message tonight. I have constantly said to her, I don't clock in and clock out. I don't have a 5-day week. I don't get to go home at the end of the working day. My working day finishes at bedtime. I don't get to go for a walk on my own to clear my head. I don't get weekends, and I don't get to go on holidays. Wow. I just saw a little pop-up message. I didn't see who it was from, but thank you so much. Oh, wow. Wow. Sorry, Desert. I'm just going to have a look at this.
That's all right. Take your time. You were expressing your situation again very well to create the picture. That's what we need. People need to see.
I don't want to say I don't want to say the name because it's not a channel name. But you know who you are. I just got a donation of $500.
Oh my!
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, whoever did that. That is so wonderful.
Oh my God.
Thank you. That right there is place to stay for a month. Hopefully, I don't know what your prices are down there in Ninja, but hopefully that.
Oh, I'm in Canberra. It's the most expensive place.
Yeah, well, but nonetheless, that's a start. And if other people will join in, you need a couple $1,000. That's really a bottom line to recover from the situation when you're going to be put on the street with no car, nowhere to go, all bags in your hands, and 2 cats on your back. that you've got major work in front of you to recover from this.
That's amazing. Oh, wow. I can't remember where I was at when I was talking. Oh, the cycles. You
were expressing clearly how you have no time for anything.
Yeah.
So how could a state that is willing to pay somebody to care for someone expect that they never get time off?
Yeah, the system is broken. The system is broken, and then add to that, the person that I'm caring for has a mental illness, and my family just wants to order me around and treat me like a slave and not help. Anyway,
it actually makes you out to be a nutcase at the same time. Because you're not doing very well right now, and
because I'm exhausted from getting no help. Yeah. They're using my exhaustion against me. They're using my having to learn as I go and making mistakes against me. They're using the fact that we had to live off Mum's money when I first moved in because we had no choice. They're turning everything around and using it against me. And anyway, a week ago, when I was talking to you, how my sister had organised the cottage respite and for Mum to go and check it out, and it was sudden. It was thrown upon me. It was supposed to be one of my 2-hour breaks, and suddenly I had to go over and check out this cottage and not have a break. We got there and Mum had a breakdown. She didn't want anything to do with it, and that nearly caused me to have a breakdown too, because it was my last resort. And me and my sister actually had a conversation, a civilized conversation. And then that continued for the weekend. She doesn't live in Canberra, and she was visiting her in-laws and her daughter, who is here, for the weekend. She came over and she helped us tidy up the backyard. I now think that was because they were intending to sell the house, because this hadn't happened. They hadn't said anything. I can see her sneaky moves to like set everything up. Anyway, yeah, it was all a setup. They swooped in, and it seems to happen every time I'm getting closer to the truth. I'm seeing more truth, and I'm getting a better relationship with Yeshua, and then they swoop in, and I go through the suffering, and then I see evidence that Yeshua is with me, and it's going to be okay, and that it's just an endless cycle, like, and then they get worse. Like it seems I'm being pulled and pushed in a tug of war. Yeah, I don't know. That's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Well, you expressed. It was about. I'm going to guess about 2 weeks ago. I remember you had a surprise situation that your sister arranged, where you and your mom had to go to another location, which was like a day retreat for your mom to be with other people in her situation, her age, and immediately her response was, when she had to go and she knew where she was going, she was in fear.
Yeah.
She was slightly traumatized by the potential.
I can tell you why too. Yeah, I can tell you why.
Yeah. Well, we'll tell, but I just want to say, traumatized by the fact that she thought she was going to be taken away from her home and
Yes.
put into a care center permanently. That's her greatest fear.
Yeah.
And what better situation would there be than to be at her own home with her daughter who loves her, with additional backup care and support, so everybody can be happy and whole. Instead, rather than under stress and persecution at the same time by a belligerent sister and brother-in-law. So pick it up from there. Thank you.
The reason Mum automatically thinks that she's going to get taken away is because just before I moved in here, my sister took Mum around looking at retirement homes before I moved in. I was half packed. I'd had my flat half packed up, and she took Mum around retirement homes and scared her. It scared her. And she goes back to that memory every time we try and figure something out, or every time I try and figure something out, some sort of respite. Automatically it goes back to that. And also last year, middle of last year, my sister came down acting like she had the intention of spending time with Mum for a few hours and giving me a break. This actually happened when I was in one of the chats on your live streams, Desert. And she was sneaking around, taking Mum around retirement villages. She went to a place where they had dogs, because Mum has a dog, a rescue dog. He saved her life when she was suffering, and that's one of her greatest fears as well, to be separated from the dog. It would break both of their hearts and mine. And she did all this, and she was not going to tell me. I found out from Mum. It was mixed up, but I figured it out because I've learned to translate what Mum was trying to say.
Yeah.
And she also organised, took Mum to doctors. There was doctor's appointments. And she had no intention of telling me any of this. And then when I had to take Mum to a doctor to get her prescription renewed, there was a big mix-up. We went to the same place that she had taken Mum, but there's several doctors there, and I've been taking Mum to, there's 3 different ones that we see. There's the main one, and there's 2 backup doctors for if the other one's not available. My sister took Mum to 2 completely different doctors in the same place, and so now the information, all Mum's medical information and blood test results and all this business had to be chased up, and it was just a big mess. And it got thrown back in my face the other day when the boss of the home care organisation that we use for my 2-hour breaks came over because they're short-staffed, and she was out and about on the road when she should have been in the office. Anyway, she came over. She treated me like I was stupid. I was having a really bad day. I was absolutely exhausted. It was hot. That was part of the exhaustion. I don't cope well with the heat, and Mum keeps opening windows on hot days. So running backwards and forwards, shutting the windows, constantly having to tell Mum why I was shutting the windows. And anyway, this lady came round. She talked to me like I was stupid. I had trouble answering her questions because I was so exhausted. And she was asking about the doctors, because she wanted me to make another doctor's appointment to renew more prescriptions. And I said, we just did that a couple of months ago. And there was a big mix-up with the doctors because my sister came down and took Mum around behind my back. And it was just, I was the stupid one because I couldn't remember a doctor's visit from the 2nd of August and somewhere in September last year. And those were the times that my sister came down and took Mum and didn't tell me what she was doing. And it's just constant. It's just, that's what it's like.
Yeah. But of course, she's not the one who's in charge of taking care of your mom. You are.
Yeah.
And so she goes behind your back.
Yeah.
And manipulates the situation and blames you for everything.
Yeah, I get set up all the time. Like, they set me up all the time. They're not looking to help me at all. They're looking for me to make a mistake, and they want me to look stupid and incompetent.
It's called cooperation, and there is no cooperation. It's you're the peon, and little sis, because she's got a nice automobile, a nice house, and a marriage with a jerk and all this stuff. You're not on her level. In other words,
yeah,
right?
I'm not good enough. Yeah, no, I don't count.
Yeah.
I don't matter.
Right.
I lost my train of thought.
It's rather tragic, Ninja, but we find this is the way it is in our world, as you know.
Yeah.
My inheritance was stolen by my sister, and we know that other friends have had similar situations with their family. I was declared legally dead while I was facing the trial of my life 20 years ago, when I defended somebody's life and they got framed for a crime I didn't commit. In the process of defending somebody's life, then at the same time, my sister on the outside, rather than try to find out where I was, said, "Dad, he's dead. He's dead. Just forget about him and give me his half of the inheritance." They declared me legally dead, and I lost half of maybe $500,000 or whatever what would have been coming my way, while at the same time trying to do my let alone recover from what was happening to me, but then this work that I do. So what it could have done for this ministry. So that's the nature of this world, Ninja, and I know you can see that. So I know being wise and being having eyes wide open, at least that, I think, it creates a little solace for you, and you know the score. You know that this is the way it is in our world, so that you're not surprised.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Disappointed, but not surprised.
Anything I want, the reason I'm doing this program today is because I don't want you to. Your cats are your children, and that's your family, and you have your computer equipment. You were serving this ministry. You were staying up at 3 in the morning doing a broadcast with us 3 times a week, while at the same time you're going through all of this hell and all this stress, and you were still willing to stay up late and do this broadcast for Yeshua and for the Translation Project. And so, I absolutely want to make sure that your cats are safe and you're safe, and you may have to make a hard decision about escaping, to a safe venue when the opportunity comes up, and calling the state and saying, "I've had to leave the situation, and you better get somebody over there." I don't. That's like I said, I can make that statement. You can't, but it may end up coming down to something like that. Otherwise, you're just going to have to be ready to go to the street when it comes. But how are you going to take your cats? You're really in a difficult situation.
Yeah.
So,
I've
I know that
thought all those things, Desert. I've thought all those things. All those things have been going round and round in my head the last couple of days.
Yeah, I know Yeshua opens doors, and that was a wonderful inspiration of somebody offering you a gift today of that amount. If you had money, because money does obviously put the fix in for these dilemmas. If you have money, then you can then just get a cab at the end of the day when they kick you out, and thank you for all of your dedication and slavery, then you could just go somewhere and get an apartment. But you know, the thing to have a job prearranged and everything, you still need to get some type of employment, and you don't know where that's going to be. You don't know what town it's in. You may have to go to another town.
I'd love to leave Canberra. I don't like being here. And a change would be great, but I moved here reluctantly. That's another story. But yeah, moved here very reluctantly, and never wanted to stay this long. So yeah.
Okay, well, you're going to have to. So we're doing this broadcast today to establish a public record of what it's like to be abused, a caretaker taking care of her mom while being abused by her sister and her brother-in-law, and also I consider abused by the state, by having her put in a position of just 4 hours. What is it? 4 hours a week you get off? Two different cycles of 2 hours.
Yeah.
What it is?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So you work longer than even truck drivers. I used to work 120 hours a week, but I could still get home and sleep for 5 hours sometimes, you know. And but okay, so you're in a situation where they made you a slave to taking care of your mom with no relief, and so you have no ability to come back, and so you're going down psychologically, physically, mentally. You're being broken down, and your ability to function normally has been depleted. You have no energy. You don't have the ability to pack, because as soon as you try to pack, your mom is right there on top of you, asking for help. She follows you everywhere, basically, or to some degree, whenever you're going into the garage if you were going to pack things. You cannot leave her alone. Apparently, this is part of the element. So, touch on that real quick. You literally can't leave her alone.
The only time, I have to sit there and do nothing to be lucky enough for Mum to do the same thing. As soon as I want to, I've been saying to you for ages, the timing is amazing. As soon as I want to do something or focus on something, I get interrupted, and if I keep trying, I get interrupted constantly.
To me, it shows that she's really dependent on you, and therefore she's grabbing you when you're going away. She's going to grab you, right? The bottom line. Yeah,
and if I'm going away, it's so that I can get my brain back for a couple of minutes, or even a couple of seconds to myself. And being followed, I know this sounds really bad, but about a month ago, it felt like, I don't want to say this, but this is what it's like. It felt like I was being stalked. That's how constant it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and for the record, because your sister is taking her out, getting her on both prescriptions, without your ability to have input in it.
Exactly.
And would it be your opinion that a lot of her detrimental behavior is part overdosing of medications? That would be your opinion?
Yep, they prescribed her with statin drugs over 10 years ago, and just added and added and added to it. And she was already on a low cholesterol diet before they prescribed those drugs.
Being closer to it than anybody else, and having observed her entire situation and the extreme, what's the extreme number of medications at one time she's been taking?
I'm just trying to think.
Because
they come in little pre-packaged Webster packs, and it's just a cocktail of all different colours.
Right. So
probably about 6 or 7 pills in the morning, and less at night, 3 at night. Oh, now it's 3.5. But anyway,
Right. And so So in your opinion, her mental capacity that has diminished systematically, would you say that it is an overdosing of unnecessary medications, perhaps, and that she is therefore toxic with synergistic effect of mixing of chemical medications?
Yep. I would say that, exactly. There's certain foods that she can't have that would improve her brain function, but because of the medication she's on, it could cause more damage. And it's all contradicting. Most of the medication is to relieve side effects from the original drug that she was put on. And it's, it's just a mess.
To take care of the side effects of drugs.
And and the latest prescription, the latest edition, is one that can cause heart failure, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, and worst case, overdose. And it is actually to treat her dementia, which she was diagnosed officially with 3 years ago.
Okay. I'd imagine they're even giving her drugs to treat over cholesterol, right?
Yep. That was the first one she was put on. Which
has been well established that that's all ruse, that's a fraud, and the doctors don't care. Do you think the doctors care more about her than you do?
No. I've asked the doctors, can we reduce her medication, ever since I saw how much she was taking, and all of them are dismissive. Oh, she's fine, they're not hurting her.
But they're not there observing her. They're not there. They don't know her. So how could they know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I've done the research on everything that she has taken over the last 10 years, and I've seen the slow decline, and just connected the dots. And
so we could say then the state has literally, with this type of institutionalization of statehood and the care that they pretend to offer, literally has destroyed your mother's health, not improved it, and at the same time enslaved you, and literally destroyed the fabric of a potentially happy scenario. Is that a way we can say it?
Yeah. It originally started because she collapsed after Dad died, because she'd been Dad's carer right up until the day he died. About a month afterwards, her body and her mind just collapsed, and I thought I was going to lose Mum. But she recovered, but suffered from a lot of grief and depression. Of course, was prescribed drugs to treat that. If all of this was treated naturally, I believe, like with healthy food, healthy lifestyle, and just talking, with no drugs, I think Mum would be normal today and thinking straight and healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's great irony in this story. So Ninja, what are your closing thoughts?
I don't know.
On your situation and what other people may be going through.
I hope this I don't know how to say it. It's an awful story. It's a sad story, but I hope people can relate to it and know that they're not alone. I've felt very alone these last couple of days, even though I now have you guys and you, Desert. I still felt so isolated all the way over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, just, I don't know, just know that you're not alone. There's always somebody around here that you can talk to, and we'll do what we can to help. Like I just want to, anyone else that's suffering, I just want to, even if it's just listening, I'm still here. Yeah, I hope this a positive comes out of this, that it reassures people that they're not alone and it's okay. It's only temporary, and it's part of it. Suffering helps us get stronger and get closer to Yeshua and the truth, and eventually home. I think that's it.
All right. Well, our time in this earth is temporary. It's all temporary here in this world. And what we have to do is we have to come to a conscious awareness of our true nature, of being of a spiritual nature, not of a physical nature. And that's the great illusion. These people, like your brother-in-law and sister, are caught up in the illusion. You know, like the money's the only thing that's important. Let's grab the little bit of equity that we've got left in Mom's bank account or in the house, and forgive the French, but screw everybody else. Forget about Mom, what she might want, or Ninja, what she might want, or maybe they have the sense of cooperation where as the old axiom goes, where a house divided, it cannot stand. And so we see that when somebody else has another agenda and it doesn't include cooperation with you, then this is just so clearly their interest is of a different order. I'm just with all that you've been through, Ninja, it's been really great to see you get closer spiritually to your Maker, and to see you be able to deal better under stress, and to be able to reason things out, and to not get when you're being attacked by these so-called family members, that you don't fold or give out your emotions and just endure it, and then
I'm getting there. I've had heaps of practice. I'm getting there. I've had heaps of practice lately. Yes. Sorry. Please continue.
Well,
please continue.
That's what a ninja is supposed to do. You see, and that you took on a motif of being a warrior. That has to endure a battle, and you've been doing it, and it's so it's been great to see you to blossom in being able to overcome all the adversity that you've gone through, and there is as everything in this world is temporary, so also your difficult situation is temporary, and there will be a moment when you're going to be severed from your mom, and it looks like it's going to be sooner than later, 30 days, unless something other occurs. I would not be optimistic. I'm at this point, looking at it from my standpoint, I'm thinking that everything that has been written on the wall is probably going to happen, and so you need to be prepared for it. Be packed and be good to go. And if you can have the financial help from some of the wonderful friends out there, that would be great. Don't forget that Ninja, I had her open a PayPal account last night so that we could do this broadcast today. This is my idea, okay? And it's gimpy222@gmail.com. That's gimpy, GYMPY 222@gmail.com. And so Ninja is a lady, and guys can tough it out a little better on the street. So being a lady, a woman, have compassion on Ninja's situation. She's got cats that are her family that she wants to save. That's why she's got a channel named Ninja cat because one cat is named Ninja. This is her family.
The other one's called
and
Gimpy.
the other one is Gimpy.
Yeah, that's why it's Gimpy 222. Ninja's like the boss and Gimpy's the follower. Yeah.
Forefront of her life.
Yeah.
And it would be true that, they're not going to walk down the sidewalk and follow her like a dog. Cats are not dogs. Cats go anywhere they want to go when they feel like it, and they don't go on a leash. So know that she's in a tough situation. Her prayers are needed for her, and also if you can support, and don't think a $5 or $10 donation doesn't make a difference, because it all adds up. If everybody would just give when they hear whatever little they can, it always makes a difference and adds up. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so grateful for Ninja, for you, and your spirit. You have a beautiful home there. You do those videos. You were sky watching. That's how I remember first meeting you. You were showing a lot of the enigmas in the sky, and then you take people on a tour through your garden. You have such a beautiful home, a beautiful garden. Who would want to not have their mom situated in that beautiful setting that you have right there, and to realize that she's going to put with strangers who care not for her, will not make proper discretionary decisions on her welfare, and it could actually be abusers of elderly people, because we find they are in these situations and they have no care, and that your mom ultimately could be very much abused in these situations, and that to have all of this broken apart by somebody who has no interest, has given no credit, no concern, no cooperation, nothing other than criticism and attacks, is bizarre, to say the least. And so I wish you well, and I keep you in my prayers every day, and hopefully others will as well. And then keep us noticed. We agreed to go down to two times a week now on the Forbidden History Chronicles, because I realized you were giving a lot of time, and you don't have the time now, and if we have to reduce it to 1 day a week, we will. But we'll be back with the Forbidden History Chronicles on Sunday. Is that correct? At 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time.
Yep, I need this, Desert. So the Chronicles is what keeps me going. Yeah. So 2 days a week. Yep.
All right. For now.
For now.
Yeah, and I will be back up on my channel soon. I'm doing some research, and I'm preparing for the most important transliteration of scriptures in modern time. It's not a brag; it's just a fact, because I'm a word etymologist, and I prove out the conspiracy that the Western culture of the Vatican and the Jesuits took over our scriptures and have decimated them, controlled the words outside the Vatican at a place called the College of Abbreviators, where they engineer our words so that we don't say what we mean when we mean what we say. We don't know what we think. We don't know the meaning of words. We don't know what the origin of words, and therefore I pierced the veil past the Hebrew and the Greek and into the Indo-Germanic of the original, and I've proven out now the scam that has been played on us by being able to find the code in the dictionaries, in the concordances, in the lexicons, and we're bringing it forward. And so that ministry also needs your support. Ninja has been on the front line of supporting it with a few others, and I can count everybody on one hand, basically, maybe with an exception. But it's a very small group of people that actually recognize the value of this ministry, ladies and gentlemen. And Ninja has been on the forefront promoting it as well. Okay, so please take that into consideration. When she had no energy left, she was still there doing the interview. She was doing it 5 in the morning, half awake, or at 1:33 in the morning before she went to bed. And every week, go back and listen to the other broadcasts. Okay, she's a trooper. She's been doing it, and it's because she's got a pure heart and a dedicated mind towards serving the higher power that gave us our being. Okay, so if you could do one thing for her, help her so not to be devastated in this situation. Show her your love and concern, and I want to thank you for that. And Ninja, thank you for all your help in our ministry here, the ministry that ultimately is called "We Are All Doing Time." We are all doing time, and it doesn't matter whether you're on the inside or the outside. We're all doing time, and for some of us, it's hard time, and we'll never get over the pain. Isn't that right, Ninja?
Yeah. Desert,
So know that you loved, okay? And thank you.
Thank you.
See you on Sunday. How about that?
Sorry?
See you on Sunday. I'm
Okay.
being a little emotional right now.
Okay.
I deal with it every day too, okay?
I know.
We never get over the pain.
I know. Thank you.
We never get over it.
I know.
So you're not alone, all right? You know that.
I know.
All right. We'll talk Sunday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Peace and love, sweetheart.
Thank you. I'll let you go.
All
Peace
right.
and love. Okay. Okay, thanks guys. This has been fantastic. Much love to you all. And I'm just looking for the right button to push as usual. Yeah, thanks. We'll be back on Sunday with a regular Forbidden History Chronicles program. And I have no more words, and I'm going to go before I start crying again. Okay, love you guys. You've been listening to Ninja Cat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series. And remember, you heard it here first. Alright, see you guys later.